these days might alter everything we understand about our position in music, the cosmos. Right now, while you watch this video, the interstellar object known as 3I Atlas sits at its nearest point to the Sun, the phase astronomers term perihelion. It's a crucial moment, and what's unfolding now differs from anything scientists have music encountered before. This isn't merely another comet. 3 snorts, Atlas, music, is acting in ways that defy every model of celestial mechanics, shifting its tail, glowing with strange colors, music, and traveling through space at a speed that shouldn't even be possible. Some call it a natural wanderer from another star. Others, including one of Harvard's most daring astrophysicists, believe it could be something else, something built. And now, fresh data from the James Webb, Music Telescope, Hubble, and dozens of ground observatories are converging on one terrifying possibility. What's happening with 3I Atlas right now could be the most important discovery in human history, or the first music warning. When 3I Atlas was first detected in July 2025 by the Atlas Survey in Chile, astronomers immediately noticed something strange. Its orbit wasn't music, just elongated. It was hyperbolic, meaning it wasn't looping around the sun like every planet, music, comet, or asteroid we know. It was simply passing through. This made it only the third confirmed interstellar object ever observed after ʻOumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019. But even compared to those, 3I Atlas stood apart. Its velocity, over 210,000 kilometers per hour, made it the fastest object of its kind ever recorded. In its path, it would come surprisingly close. Music just 1.36 astronomical units from the Sun and later about $1.80 from Earth, around 267 million music km away. Far, but close enough to monitor every detail. What they found during those first music observations stunned the scientific community. The object's light signature didn't match any known comet or asteroid. It was too reflective, too structured, too stable under solar radiation. Whatever 3I music Atlas is, it's unlike anything we've seen before. As it approached the Sun, telescopes, music around the world began picking up anomalies that sent shock waves through astronomy. The Hubble Space Telescope, music detected something unprecedented, an anti-tail, a bright jet of material extending toward the Sun instead of away, music from it. Weeks later, that anti-tail suddenly reversed, transforming music into a normal tail pointing outward. The phenomenon was so abrupt and music symmetrical that many wondered if it was a form of controlled propulsion. The Keck Observatory, music in Hawaii, and the Nordic Optical Telescope in Spain confirmed the shift, while the James Webb Space Music Telescope detected something even stranger. 3I Atlas's coma, the cloud surrounding its nucleus, was made of 87% carbon dioxide, 9% carbon monoxide, and just 4% water. No other comet in the solar system has that composition. It's almost bone dry, yet glowing in the infrared as if radiating heat from within. Even more bizarre, spectroscopy revealed a massive cloud of CO2 surrounding the object, stretching nearly 350,000 kilometers, larger than Jupiter's diameter. Inside it, traces of hydrogen cyanide and a high ratio of nickel with almost no iron. Natural possibly, but as one scientist whispered, those are industrial ratios. When 3I Atlas reached perihelion, many expected it to break apart under solar radiation like countless comets before it. Instead, it did something no one predicted. Music had survived. Not a single fragment was detected. In fact, it emerged stronger. Observers noted that a coronal mass ejection from the Sun struck its path directly, a burst powerful enough to vaporize fragile music bodies instantly. Yet, 3I Atlas barely flinched. It absorbed the impact and continued. Music, its trajectory intact, its surface temperature rising and then stabilizing as if it were designed to withstand music. Its elongated shape with an aspect ratio of 10 to 1 mirrored that of ʻOumuamua. Long, thin, almost aerodynamic. But while ʻOumuamua spun erratically, 3I Atlas remained steady. Music, reflecting light with a strange negative polarization, a property no known natural object shares. Scientists began music, calling it the unbreakable visitor. And that's when some theorists, including Harvard's Avi Loeb, placed it in Category 4 of his extraterrestrial scale, a classification, music system ranking interstellar objects by their likelihood of being artificial. According to Loeb, 3I Atlas has a 40% chance of being technological. Others call that speculation. But as each new anomaly surfaces, that number feels less like science fiction and more like prophecy. Right now, 3I Atlas is performing the maneuver that could change everything. The moment physicists like Mio have been waiting for. If the object accelerates beyond what solar gravity predicts, it would mean only one thing. It's under control. This maneuver, known as the Oberth effect, is a technique used by spacecraft to gain massive speed by firing propulsion near a gravity source, in this case the sun. If 3I Atlas does this, it would gain an impossible amount of kinetic energy, enough to slingshot out of the solar system or worse, redirect its trajectory toward Earth. Astronomers worldwide are watching, calculating, and waiting. So far, there's no confirmed deviation, but the data is still coming in. NASA, meanwhile, quietly activated its Planetary Defense Network, a coordinated observation campaign involving 227 observatories across the world, officially as a training exercise. But the timing is no coincidence. When rumors began spreading that radio telescopes had detected music, a weak but consistent signal synchronized with 3I Atlas's orbit, the internet exploded. Was it calling home? Was it music? Interference? Or is it something else? A whisper across the void from a machine older than our civilization. Days after 3I Atlas completed its perihelion passage, something impossible happened. It slowed down. Not in a way that could be music explained by physics, not through drag, solar wind, or gravitational deceleration. Music, but in a way that seemed deliberate. Tracking data from both NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the European Space Agency showed a measurable reduction in velocity around 0.08 meters per second squared, consistent over 20 hours. It was as if the object had gently applied brakes. Natural objects don't do that. They don't resist the sun's gravity with controlled precision. But here was 3I Atlas, an object hundreds of meters across, performing a maneuver smoother than any spacecraft we've ever launched. The deceleration occurred exactly when it crossed a threshold known as the thermal equilibrium zone, where an object's internal heat equals the solar energy it absorbs. The implication terrified everyone. Something inside 3I Atlas might be reacting to its environment, regulating its temperature, and perhaps, just perhaps, music adjusting its course. That same week, a research array in Japan, the Mitsuhara Deep Space Radio Observatory, picked up a narrowband signal coming from the general direction of 3I Atlas. It was faint but undeniably structured. A repeating series of 3 pulses followed by a pause repeated every 247 seconds. The same mysterious interval first recorded when the object was behind the sun months earlier. At first, astronomers dismissed it as equipment noise or satellite interference. But when the same pattern was detected by independent teams in Chile, Italy, and South Africa, the scientific community could no longer ignore it. The signal was real. More unnerving was its stability. It didn't fluctuate with solar wind or cosmic background interference. It remained constant. Music, as if locked to an internal clock. When analyzed through frequency modulation, the pulses displayed phase coherence, a sign of intentional encoding, not random emission. NASA refused to comment publicly, but an internal leak from the SETI Institute revealed that the signal carried faint harmonics in hydrogen band, the universal frequency used in theoretical interstellar communication. Music, someone or something wanted to be noticed. The scientific community fractured overnight. Half argued, music, that 3I Atlas was the first physical evidence of an interstellar probe, perhaps debris or technology from a civilization long extinct. The other half fought to preserve order, claiming it was all coincidence that nature could mimic intelligence if observed long enough. But as data continued to arrive, denial became impossible. The James Webb Space Music Telescope, reoriented to follow the object from its L2 orbit, detected an unnatural polarization pattern coming from 3I Atlas's surface. Unlike any known comet or asteroid, it reflected light in alternating planes, as though rotating layers of material were modulating the reflection intentionally. The readings even showed microsecond variations matching the rhythm of the radio pulses. At the same time, telescopes in Chile observed that its tail had reformed into two separate streams, not parallel, but crossing music at a precise 90 degrees angle. That geometry doesn't occur naturally. It was as if the object had split music, its emission using its own vaporized gases to send optical signals across space. Theorists began to wonder, what if these weren't random emissions? What if 3I Atlas was using light itself to communicate not with us, but with something, music else? Then came the event that changed everything. On August 29th, as 3I Atlas moved beyond Earth's orbital plane, its trajectory, music, shifted by 0.11 degrees, a small but deliberate motion that placed it directly in line with the ecliptic plane of the outer planets. The alignment was perfect, too perfect. For 27 hours, the object's projected path formed a direct line through Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and beyond. Every telescope trained on it recorded a strange luminescence radiating from its core, fluctuating at regular intervals. Astronomers noticed that the intervals coincided exactly with planetary orbital resonances, as if 3I Atlas were calibrating itself to the harmonic frequencies of our solar music system. The alignment was not random. It was choreographed. But what followed was even more chilling. For the music, first time since its discovery, the object emitted a visible flash, a burst of ultraviolet light lasting 2.8 seconds, strong enough to ionize the solar wind in its vicinity. The flash wasn't wide or diffused. It was directional, aimed toward deep interstellar space. When scientists traced the beam's vector, it pointed precisely toward the coordinates of a region between Vega and Lyra, the same region where the mysterious WOW signal was detected in 1977. Silence followed. The flash stopped, the radio pulses ceased. Music and 3I Atlas went dark. For weeks after 3I Atlas went dark, the world watched in silence. Every telescope, every radar dish, every instrument capable of tracking it was locked on its last known coordinates. But there was nothing. No light, no heat signature, no reflected signal. It had vanished. NASA officially declared it optically lost, meaning it was gone beyond detection range. Yet, deep in the raw data archives of the James Webb Space Telescope, something remained. A fragment of light recorded in the final milliseconds before the ultraviolet burst. Music faded. When the data was reconstructed, it revealed a faint interference pattern, a modulation within the light itself, like an optical fingerprint intentionally imprinted onto the universe. And within that pattern was structure. The modulation wasn't random noise. It contained music, repeating frequency ratios, the same one seen in hydrogen transitions, planetary resonances, and most eerily in the human frequency. The electromagnetic heartbeat of Earth's atmosphere. Music, whatever snorts 3I Atlas emitted in that last pulse, was not a simple flash. It was a message written in light. Music, encoded in a language older than words. When scientists at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics ran the data through waveform analysis, the results stunned them. The signal mirrored music, the same prime number sequences embedded in the earlier radio emissions, but now arranged into music, a three-dimensional structure, a lattice of interlocking spirals resembling a double helix. It wasn't text. It was geometry, a universal constant, a blueprint. Avi Loeb, the man who had once called 3I Atlas possibly artificial, described music the discovery as a cosmic signature of intent. Snorts, according to Music, his report, the geometry represented a form of resonant encoding, a way of storing vast amounts of information within patterns of energy rather than through symbols or language. If true, it meant that 3I Atlas hadn't sent us a message, Music, to read. It had left behind a code for us to experience, one that could, Music, only be understood by recreating its frequencies, by making the universe itself vibrate the way it once did. NASA immediately classified the data, but not before several independent researchers mirrored the waveform and ran it through quantum resonance simulators. When they did, something extraordinary happened. A repeating harmonic began to emerge, growing stronger, Music, with each cycle, as though the waveform was interacting with the very fabric of space-time. Then, suddenly, the signal inverted, and the simulation, Music, shut down. But before it did, it displayed one final phrase generated automatically by the AI translation module trained to interpret mathematical music symmetries as linguistic meaning. The phrase read, "We remember you." The message spread across scientific circles like wildfire before being wiped from public databases. Music, NASA denied everything. Said he went silent. Even the European Space Agency's data archives were briefly locked under cosmic security protocols. Officially, 3I Atlas was declared a natural interstellar comet, its anomalies dismissed as data errors. Unofficially, Music, whispers grew louder that the object's final signal was not a farewell, but an activation. 2 months later, several observatories began detecting faint echoes of that same harmonic, not from the direction of Vega or Lyra, Music, but from deep within our own solar system. The resonance matched perfectly, as if something nearby had received the transmission and answered. No one knows what that means yet. Some think it's just solar interference. Others believe, Music, it's a cosmic echo bouncing through the heliosphere. But a small group of music scientists, the same who first decoded 3I Atlas's signal, believe something far more profound. That whatever sent that music object didn't leave us a warning or a threat, but a reminder. A reminder that intelligence might not live outside the universe, but within it in the harmony between light, matter, and consciousness itself. Because maybe, just maybe, 3I Atlas didn't come to observe us. Maybe it came to wake us up. So, if this story made you question what's really out there, and whether something might be watching us music right now, not from above, but from the fabric of the cosmos itself, don't look away. Subscribe to this channel. We uncover the discoveries music the world isn't ready to face. Turn on notifications because when that signal, music, returns, you'll want to be here when the universe answers back. I'd love to hear what you think about this, so drop a comment below. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please share this video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Every bit of support counts.